right, guys, welcome to the Holy Hour podcast. This is a very special edition that I feel like has been a long time in the making. We have a really great episode, I think, ahead of you guys. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Gavin. I am joined by our very special guest, Arusha Baker.
Hello.
Director,
Hey.
producer,
And
sometimes editor
Yeah.
of
Cat
the
lover.
film Cat Lover, Push Cure fan documentary. That if you're ever listening to this show, you know that voice. Thanks for joining us.
What's my? I keep forgetting what I define myself as. The
Which Hollywood Square?
Hollywood Square's got Charles Nelson Riley.
There he
He's
is.
always in that Hollywood Square.
Yes.
He's always there.
You got a favorite, Donald?
I like the, was it not Don Rickles?
Don Rickles was so great.
Yeah, he was dope. But there's a really flamboyantly gay dude. And I can't, his name's on the tip of my
Paul
tongue.
Lind? Was he the
Yes.
Yeah.
He was the best.
Yeah.
He was fucking hilarious on that.
It is like all those guys that you know their faces as soon as you see them. You're
Yeah.
like, who was that dude? You just kind of saw them. They're kind of famous for no reason. But
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what this is all about. Like
That's
Charles Nelson Riley. I'm like, who are you? You're there all the time. Why are you there all the time?
It's
Because
like,
you're
'cause
not
I
famous.
got nothing else to do. I'm gonna be here all week long. They're all like drunk as shit.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, you all know me for no reason. Who is the idiot? You know?
It's like, here we
It's
are.
like, guess I am, dude.
Speaking of which, so welcome. We have a great episode ahead. We're talking.
Oh,
this
and
one's-
I'm, by the way, I'm Donald, by the way,
You
since
said
no
that.
one,
You did. You're like, well, I thought you were
Oh.
Paul Lind.
fuck you.
We got Arusha here, man. We don't need to dwell on bad boy bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not even here, so
Oh,
let's just
come
go.
on.
Well, Donald's here. We are in the official, I guess,
Wolf Den.
makeshift. Well, this will be the official Wolf Den,
The
right?
Wolf Den.
All right, we're in the Wolf Den. Can we get a... All right, so here we are, getting cozy. We're settling in. This episode's been a long time in the making because
Yeah.
what are we talking about tonight? We haven't had any official member episodes yet, but this is a Lowell Tolhurst.
It's a big
Yes.
one.
Yeah, he's been
Yeah.
a lot of Lowell in the news in the past year. Put out a book in the past year. Last year, Tale of Two Imaginary Boys Cured, Lowell's memoir. And we've been trying to talk about this for a long time. I think we gave everybody enough time to hopefully read this and get it as a Christmas present. Go see him. He's been touring around heaps, so hopefully people got a chance to go out and see him. Arusha just saw him recently, and I can't wait to hear all about it. We haven't seen him, and ironically, he's in D.C. tonight.
I know.
Is it tonight?
It is tonight, I think,
thought
or
it was
maybe
Wednesday.
tomorrow. Oh, I think he arrived in D.C. tonight, but he's gonna be tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Road trip.
know, right?
So, just showing what kind of like we'd rather just talk about him for 3 hours than actually go see him and meet him. But or at least Rush has seen him and hung out and had some interesting moments, I'm sure, with Lowell. So how many times have you seen him on this tour?
I saw him twice in New York in the
Okay.
fall in October, and then I just saw him twice. Once in Boston and once in Boston, where I used to live, and once in Rhode Island. And a part of the reason why I went was just it just coincided with a time that I could go, and I met so many
Yeah.
cool people last year on the Cure tour that this guy Carl was like, hey, do you want to come up and go do this thing with me? And I'm like, sure. And it was really great. I guess I'm a sucker for traveling, to see
it
music.
seems pretty like it'd be pretty ideal because it's like, especially the hangout factor of hanging out with Cure fans and stuff, and but not the whole music. You can be kind of a more environment that's conducive to hanging out a little bit better. Maybe we can meet up with them and see the little, reading and hang out, still like actually get a little bit more talking time in and stuff. Seems like that could be tough when you're going to actual Cure shows to.
Well, I think that what was cool about the first couple times I went and what I realized, which kind of goes into the whole theme of like what I do, is that I went with Mike Moskowitz, who was another Cure fan that I met last year, and I hadn't read Lowell's book, so I bought the book at the first reading that we went to. And, I was kind of like, oh, this will be cool. And, I was excited, but I wasn't, super freaked out. I didn't know if I would be bored. I had no idea like what to expect, and it was really I don't know. It was like really special to see Lowell, like this guy. Like I was like looking at him that first reading, and I'm like, oh my God, like if you had told 15-year-old me that I'd be seeing him reading a book, it was so cool. And he was very well read, and like I have to say, I got to that point what I did when I was a kid, or like he's right there, and it wasn't like this like, oh my God, I gotta go get his autograph. It was like, I'm an adult, just he's an adult.
This moment.
And like this guy who's like talking about being an alcoholic and like growing up with his best friend happens to also be a guy that founded my favorite band in life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And played during like the formative years and was a formative
For
guy.
sure, yeah. It's pretty surreal. Were the crowds?
He's a foundation of the band.
Yeah,
definitely a solid foundation, and I think that's, unfortunately, kind of overlooked by a lot of people, and I don't really know why. I think it's probably just because Robert has such an he's such a presence, and he's so creative and so everything, whatever, that people just find it easy to like slag on somebody who's no longer in the band.
Yeah.
It's like you try to go be in a fucking band,
right?
You.
I know.
And I guess because there was like that era of like a lot of shuffling around, even though it hasn't really been like a crazy amount of members coming and going. They've some come back, and shuffle around. But I mean, I guess maybe to some people that caught on like the later years from like Wish Up, it's like, oh, he was
like,
just some dude that shuffled in for a few hours. But it's like, no, man, he was like there from the start, and and all this solid. That's like a whole other career basically. This first, batch of albums for sure. So.
And that poor dude, like he's had to like stand in the shadow of this figure,
right?
Like just a figure, like a huge figure, like just in his shadow.
Yeah, that's a whole other element. I'm sure it was like.
Well, but that was what was so, I think, satisfying about seeing him speak was that, of course, there's like the candy side that's like, oh, he's talking about when he and Robert first met, and then they first played, and blah blah blah. And so you get to kind of imagine, like when you read the book, but also hearing him say, like, it was 1976 and it was the hottest summer. Right. And you're like, wow, that summer, like the Clash and the Sex Pistols, and here they are. And he's describing this time. And then, through questions and answers, he talks about, alcoholism. And then he talks about, like, humbling things. And then he's also very much at peace.
Yeah.
Like, you're standing in front of somebody that you can't argue. At least to me, like I'm witnessing somebody that is just at peace. So again, as like a grown woman who's experienced highs and lows, I'm like, God, that's fucking rad.
Yeah.
Like you've totally opened up your life, I'm as I'm sure with plenty of edits, but like really in this like wonderful way. And he just really seems like he seems at peace, which is just more than like, I don't know, most people in life can say.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to achieve. Like,
that's great.
There's seminars in Bali just for people to try to find fucking peace. Like that's like one of the greatest quests since man has existed and realized what being at peace can be.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
And all those factors that we just know, like going back to like what we're saying of him being not only in the shadow of this huge icon, but like his friend, his childhood friend, and like all these things wrapped up in this, which make the book so great in the sense that it is more just a, like you're saying initially, you're like, oh, whoa, cure tales and stuff like that, but it is like an epic tale of this guy. Like there was so much more to it than just, and that's when we recorded pornography kind of thing, and you're like, yeah. So I mean,
all my favorite parts were them growing up and just like that relationship and like, and I was born in London, like when they were like, just like 76, 77. Like I was there, and I love kind of hearing like, well, what was around when I was like.
Wait, you were born in 1976?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. the Clash song comes in anyway.
I was like, what guitar?
We'll edit that in later. It's
Yeah, we'll
background
edit
music.
But
Oh no, that was 1977. Sorry.
That's my year. So
Yeah.
there we go.
But,
Now we'll play it.
yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
kind of just that part of England, and they really explained it well. And I kind of knew like there's like those like post-war suburbs, and they grew up in that shit, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, just the backtrack to the point of him actually reading and stuff too, of like the idea of like
jumping ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Jumping back for that. But
That's what I do.
like the idea of like him doing these readings is probably really awesome because it is him being so comfortable and being his own kind of front man in a way. You know, it seems like doing the readings of his book would be cool to see him kind of at the helm. You know, you always kind of see him as the guy from our memories is just growing up in the videos and the show, just the drummer syndrome or keyboardist, and seeing him kind of own it is going to be pretty awesome. Did he get a good reaction from the crowds and stuff? Were they pretty big crowds?
I mean the first one I went to was pretty big. I think I can't remember. It may have been in New Jersey, and it was kind of funny. Like it was in the beginning of the tour, and I think I can tell that he's gotten more. Or I think it seems like he's gotten more comfortable with like what he's gonna say, and he knows what kind of questions people are gonna ask. It just seemed that way. But there were people who were like, "Now that you're back in the band," and I was like, "Oh man, he's not back in the band, you dumbass!"
That's
like
fucked up.
He's like, well, actually,
because he played in Reflections,
Right.
But I mean, when I was interviewing people, I think they always make up their own stories.
Yeah, I never thought for a second he was back in the band. He was just like coming on to play, like,
Yeah, or like there was the next night, he's like, I don't know how the subject came up there. Somebody was asking about lyrics, and he's like, I've put in, he's just talking about some songs that he contributed to, and somebody's
I wrote just like Heaven.
He's like, somebody in the audience said, I didn't know you wrote lyrics. I was like, oh my God.
I haven't read the book yet. I just got it now.
I'm reading it right now.
Well, but like, even if I thought that, I would hope I wouldn't have the mind to not be like, whoa, really?
Yeah,
bro.
You definitely wonder like the motivation of some of those things. Like, why would you just say something even about being like back in the band if you didn't know 100%, Or
like, I just want to ask a question. I'll talk to you.
It's dangerous, but
yeah.
that's good.
So
did he do a Q&A on all of them? Did he do?
He did a Q&A on all of them. The first two were much more formal than the last two I just went to. The first two were like proper in like bookstores, and they were great. And again, like for me, especially with what I'm doing now, now being like 20 years, but it was just inspiring, and I think it's rad that he's just written a fucking book about it. And like there were question and answers at each one of the four that I saw. No, that's not true. 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't bad.
Yeah.
Damn.
So the third one in Boston was cool, except for I'm sorry, Verb Hotel. It was set up really poorly. It was in a restaurant. They set up the chairs like around the room, so Lowell was like looking this way and that way. It was so stupid. I'm like
lolling around.
Yeah, I was like, why the fuck? And me and my like assistant director self, I'm like, get it together, guys. You can have it set up this way. Do you need me to run this for you?
It's not that hard.
Yeah, that
like,
stuff's always so
You'd be
frustrating.
surprised.
It's like common sensey shit to me. It's just like where to put shit, and just like, do you want the person in front of a crowd to be doing this?
It was
the whole
ridiculous.
time,
It
like,
really
spinning
pissed me
around?
off, actually, and I felt like it
Yeah.
put him as the artist.
Could you tell
like
that it threw him off? Could you see it? Like,
I
or was
don't
he a
think
good
so. He
sport?
actually because he was speaking, and then for questions and answers he'd come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way they had it set up was retarded, and then it was like also set up next to a restaurant, and he was going to be DJing in a restaurant. And I was like, what? Like, how does this work? Like, we're going to be possibly dancing over people's food? I don't get it.
People eating chicken wings.
Yeah, but he didn't fucking care, and he had a good time. And then
Enjoy your tapas.
I was like, oh, cool.
It'll like play a song.
That's Robert Smith.
right,
No.
That's totally what people are like.
It's a dude.
That's the same person that's like, I didn't know you did this. It's just like, wait, you're not Robert Smith?
I know, right?
Friday I'm in Love was
Dipshits.
awesome, man. So, yeah, well, that's cool. I'm glad it was a worthwhile experiences then. Yeah, I wish we definitely could see him. That would be cool. But.
Well, the prize of the Boston night was that there was a guy named Tom Wilson who used to roadie for The Cure, and he was there, and that was awesome. And he just someday I know from the past, and so that was just like another moment that like made all my experiences like, oh my god, that really happened. Do you know what I mean?
Awesome.
And then the next night was at a goth club, which was super weird, honestly, because Lowell was DJing, and he went back and forth with another DJ, and like his DJ sets were fine, but again, the way that it was set up, I thought was weird. Like they didn't another like, thanks for coming, guys. Lowell's gonna be. There was no announcement. He was in this back room. Like people didn't even know he was there. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? You guys need some management on this shit.
Yeah. What was the weirdest surprise Lowell song? Did he have one that you're like, oh, all right.
Well, he played 80s by Killing Joke, which is fun.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that was the one that I was like most happily surprised by.
Yeah. Cool.
But you know, he played a lot of Cure songs. Go figure.
Yeah.
And people were going crazy. Like I think.
That'd be so awkward.
Any post-Lowell ones, or were they all stuff that he played on?
He was. You should have seen him during Hot Hot Hot. It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
Did he like mime out air horns?
He didn't mind air horns, but it was like he was psyched because the crowd was like super into it. You know what I mean? Like it was great.
Awesome. Well, good on him. Let's go.
Yeah.
Awesome. So with Lowell putting this book out, and obviously, you know, we would love to get his scoop on a few things. And initially we were like, well, we got to track this guy down. Don and I, like, even before I think the book even came out, we're all like, we should reach out to Lowell somehow and even try to just contact him for an actual full-on interview and stuff. And then when the book came out, we're like, oh, that'd be so easy. We could check him out.
We're literally the only Cure podcast.
Yeah,
so, like,
how hard could it be? And we're like, we'll fly to LA for this. We'll write it off on taxes.
I know.
Get funded by Squarespace.
Yeah. And then we hit a wall as soon as he did like the GoFundMe, Kickstarter kind of thing, where it was like, well, he had like the thing, you know, if you pay, you know, all the donations and such to fund the tour there, and one of them was like, I could do an interview for a few $100 or something. Like, well, shit, we can't just like ask him to do an interview for free and that kind of thing. So it just fizzled out quick. Like I thought maybe.
And I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, well,
we can't.
Yeah,
you know, we don't have the kind of income to really, right? And maybe you do, but I don't.
No, we don't. I don't have Lowell money.
So that fizzled out quick. But good old Arusha saves the day again. So you contacted us, and you want to tell your side of how that all unraveled?
This is all monumental. I'm pacing back and forth right now.
Well, so in the Q&As that I went to, of course, I raised my hand and asked him a question. I think I can't honestly remember if I asked him a question both nights or not, but of course I asked about fans, and he said he was just so gracious because if you haven't read the book by now, read it because it's really fucking good. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a crazy Cure fan. It's a very, very good book.
It reads really well too, where it's not just like Cure nerd stuff. Like even if you're just a moderate fan, I feel like it's a pleasant read where you can just read through it like a cool guy's story and get a lot out of it.
Totally,
sure.
I think it's a book that like even if you don't know anything about the Cure, it's just about a man who's in a band and who was and growing up and like being a teenage boy, and then having like alcohol problems and then making bad decisions. Yeah. Like he talks very openly about that, which I think is awesome. Yeah. You know,
it's
and
hearing someone's life and then pointing out like, and this is what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, like saying like, oh yeah, by the way, then I made another bad decision.
And then being honest about it. That's gnarly. That's how you get to, you know, seeing a dude at peace, like way later in life after a crazy life.
Right.
You know, is telling those stories.
Totally. So I had asked him about fans, and he had sort of said that like fans are like, you know, he's always seen Cure fans as like family, and there's just this like common thread. And then I was with my friend Mike Moskowitz, who asked him about specific things about like records and questions and whatnot. But so I guess you guys had said you know, that you wanted to do a talk with me and about Lowell and whatever. And so I had emailed him, and I was like gushing. I was like, oh my God, I read the book and that one part, because there was a point in his book, which I won't give it away completely, but basically there's a point of redemption with him and Robert, and he's at a show at the Palace in 2000, and I was there. Yeah. So that was kind of freaky because, of course, I had absolutely no idea about what he was dealing with. But I was like, oh, my God, was Lowell there? Wait a minute. And I had to, like, recall being there. And it was, like, one of my, I don't know what time you guys are going to put this together, but I was, like, I was at the after show or the before show or whatever the fuck. But it was a very, very special show for me. Yeah. And so to hear that it was a very special show for him, it kind of blew my mind a little bit. Yeah. And he was talking about fans in that particular moment. And then I connected it with like fans that I know, and I was like, mind melt. Yeah. So
what
I wrote.
Tour was it? Like
that was at the Palace in February 2000. It really fucking freaked me out in like a good way, because again, it was like when you're a fan of something and you meet your hero or whatever, you have good experiences, bad experiences, anything that's like surreal. After a while, years later, you're like, did that really happen? Right. Am I making this shit up? You know, like, so to see Lowell and to read that in a book, and then to have him thank like Autumn from Pictures of You, who I know, who's like an amazing person, and like Craig from Chain of Flowers, who I've met briefly, but we all know Craig. Like all of us Cure fans are like, yeah, man, Craig's awesome. You know, I don't know. It's just, it's nuts.
Worlds colliding for sure, in a sense. I'm sure you're just melding it all together, and to know that he's aware of that is awesome and a part of it, you know, and receptive of that. It's huge, right?
Right. So I was gushing about that, and I said, hey, you know, I've been doing, you know, helping out with this podcast, and I told him about it. And I kind of prefaced and said, look, it's like really low brow, like we're not CNN, and these guys are just, you know, they love the Cure, and I said, can we interview you? And he said yes. Cool. So we recorded some questions. So Donald and Gavin sent me questions, and I sent it to Lowell, and he didn't get back right away because he was about to go on his Paris trip.
Yeah, so we got some responses. Let's hear what Lowell has to say.
Okay. All right. So I'm recording. This is for the Holy Hour podcast, and I'm going to ask you about fans. And in your book, you know, I've already asked you about this, and you've said that there's a family thing. But to somebody like my mom, she doesn't understand what that means. Because it's like, you and I, we don't know each other. We're not family. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, you know, to me, I spent most of my life on the road in front of people that I see year after year, you know, again and again, and I know a little bit about their lives. I don't know that much. They know a little bit, probably more about my lives. But to me, they're like family, because my family was always the people that were involved in what I was doing. So like the Cure's my family because they were always involved in what I'm doing. And so ergo the people that come and see it, because they feel to me like people that will always love me no matter who I am or no matter what I am, and that's family, right? So it's not family as in terms of like the people that, you know, gave you birth or whatever. It's family in terms of the people that gave birth to your real life, which is what I do now. You know? So that's how I'm in family.
Right, and so if you would say to somebody like I took two anecdotes from your book. One is when you guys got to the point of you open the curtains and you're in your underwear, and there's fans like, hey Lowell, how's it going? Versus the 2000 date when you were going to go talk to Robert, you couldn't get in, and then and then you got in, but these you turn and. Okay, so most people look at the traveling Cure fans, which I'm obviously rooting for, as like the creepers.
Only some are like that. Most of the people I've ever met have been really nice. And I was talking about that particular thing that you mentioned, the 2000 event at the Palace the other day to somebody. And the reason I remembered that and why it was so lovely was because I arrived in a situation that could have been very difficult for me and very humbling, but the fans made it less so. The fans made it an enjoyable, good experience. So by the time I'd overcome my own self, I felt so much better about it, and so that was great. And then the other time, when I stepped out in my underwear, I'm just an exhibitionist, so what can I tell you?
All right, so I know that one of the things that Donald from the Holy Hour, he asked specifically, he's a drummer, and he was very excited when I said that you would.
Okay.
So his 3 favorite albums are Faith, Pornography, and 17 Seconds, and he loves what he calls the nuances. And tell me if you picked up anything else.
Yes. Well, he was questioning like the nuances of like how did you come upon like the reverbs and like the flat sound.
Oh, okay.
17 Seconds.
I suppose really just because, like, one of my favourite records ever was David Bowie's Low, and Dennis Davis, who's the drummer on that, he had such an amazing sound, which I know was a lot of Tony Visconti made that sound, but we just tried to do our own version of that, really, I think, you know? So that's how it sounded like with all the different reverbs and things.
Okay, and I was listening to this and not you guys, so I'm not sure if you covered this question. One of the first questions was how they've read that you like to write lyrics from time to time.
Yeah.
And you've contributed lyrics. Are there any lyrics that, and examples of your favorite lyrics that you've contributed? And what are they and why?
You know, All Cats Are Grey is a good example because I wrote that about my mother. So, you know, but there are other, like Robert's got to sing all those words, so he would have the final say about which ones he's going to sing, but you know, a lot of what the things that we wrote about are very similar and have a similar bent because we grew up together. So therefore, I can always plop, you know, a line in here or there or whatever. So there's a lot of my stuff sort of sprinkled over songs. But as a song that I, you know, had the most lyrical input, that's one that I like the most, I think, because it still means something to me all the time, you know.
And then the last question I saw on there was, I think you kind of touched on it tonight, was on how the question is, you've written Cure. Do you have any other writing coming along that we can
Yeah. I'm going to do 2 books. One will be like 40 years after Cured starts, which was my birthday a few weeks ago. And but it'll go back. Instead of starting at the end and going forwards, it'll start now and go back. And so that's like really volume 2, I guess, of Cured. And the other book is a graphic novel that I'm doing with Pearl Thompson. So, you know, he's made some amazing drawings. I've got a couple on here I'll show you, which you can't see. But,
we're Donald and Gavin, I know you're jealous right now. And I'm jealous about the movie. I'm excited. But
yeah, the movie's been good too. Yeah.
For the listeners at home, Lowell is scrolling through his phone right now, looking for photos. And we're at the Verb. Is that what this is called?
Verb Hotel.
It's 2017, I think. Trump is still president.
Yeah, at the moment he is.
At the moment, that's right.
Yeah. Hopefully next week he won't be.
Oh,
but,
God, wouldn't that be
I mean, what's he
great?
got to do?
Hey, ladies and guys, thank you so much.
That's
Oh
one.
my God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and that's not another one. That was a picture of something he wanted to eat, but there are some other ones.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, there's a really good one I want to show you, which might end up being the actual cover of it. Come on.
And Lowell just did a little DJ set. My 2 favorites were Police and Thieves by The Clash on the first record.
Right.
That first record is so good.
It is.
And then 80s by Killing Joke.
Oh yeah, I love that song.
But then the dance floor cleared and you had to play New Order, right?
Yeah, that's going to be the cover, I think.
That
So,
looks a little bit like Pearl.
It does, doesn't it? That's what
Yeah.
I told him as well. I said it looks like you.
Yeah.
I said, so you're going to make me write a book about you, aren't you? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking a few more minutes
Of course.
for the, can you say it? The Holy Hour podcast?
Okay, for the Holy Hour project, I've taken a few more minutes, and I always will.
Oh, yay! Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay.
Over and out, team.
Awesome. Thanks so much. That was awesome. Good old Lowell.
I teared up. I fucking teared up. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Lowell's the best.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Found out he wrote my favorite fucking song. Or had like, you know, a bunch of lyrics and stuff. Like, he's now my favorite dude in The Cure.
He's taking the throne, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that's so sweet and so informative. Great answers too.
What a fantastic dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear the feedback, guys.
The praise. Yeah, well, where do we start?
Jesus.
Jeez. That family answer for your question was really sweet. That was like that was really right on. I think that kind of represents the kind of dude he is too. You know, you always get those vibes, and especially after the book, and you know, just hearing his own voice say it like that, it was really sweet. So that was cool.
I think he said the Holy Hour Project.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. Fucking close enough. We're changing the podcast name to the Holy Hour Project.
For that, I'll go back and re-edit. 48
Totally.
episodes.
No problem.
And that's so like sweet and daddish. Like that's something your dad would do.
It was your little podcast.
What is it? The Holy Hour Project there? You're like, yep, it is, Dad. Whatever. It's kind of sweet. It's like, you dummy, but it's sweet.
Yeah, that was great. He knew exactly what you're talking about with the drum stuff too. So that's great. He was right on with that. So.
Yeah, get it. I want to hear your reaction to that, because I think he mentioned somebody that I don't know. Who did he say? Tom
Visconti, the producer guy of Low. I guess he produced Bowie's Low.
And he did a bunch of other stuff, and I feel like an idiot. Like I knew at one point like other records, but he's done like a bunch of other records.
Yeah, tons. And Morrissey, he did the Ringleaders one, I think. One of the later ones.
Yeah.
Ringleaders of Tormented. And tons of stuff. So.
And Low's a good record, like. Yeah, it's not like I'm not a huge Bowie dude, and I'm not what I like of Bowie, like that record's never caught on that hard to me. But I haven't listened to it in like 10 years.
But now you will. You'll listen a little closer.
No, I am literally am gonna listen to it like a little closer, and because I know what they're talking about with the production of it. Because that's why I listened to it in the first place. Like the first time I checked out that record was not because of Bowie, is because the production of the record and how it was made, and
so many people citing it with things like this. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that record that you hear about, you're like, oh man, this inspired so many of the people I love.
Like once I discovered the internet, like I'm like, well, I'm gonna figure out like, you know, artists that I like. Well, who do they like? Mm-hmm. Because that was a big changer for me, is even to tie it into The Cure, was getting that Wish tour book, and it had like all the band members listed like their favorite bands, what they're listening to. And that's how as like a fucking like 15, 14-year-old, like I found out about My Bloody Valentine and started listening to them hardcore, you know?
Yeah.
So
it sounds goofy nowadays, but back then you just had to get every little scrap of paper or interview you could where they mention anything and dig it up from there.
Yeah, I mean, it was much more of a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, these guys are listing it. Like you get that. I mean, that was what was great. Like you open up this tour book, and you don't know what you're gonna get in it. I mean, you know, and you
it's
get
like
this
sage
fucking
advice.
Yes.
Totally, that's awesome.
It was always like a mystical thing finding like a good band. It's just like you had to like find someone that was cool, and they like talk music, and then you're like, "Whoa, what's this band? What are they like?"
Totally, totally. Or what you're saying, like it's like one thing. It's like, hey, check this out, and so somebody gives you like a mixtape or whatever. But then when you go and see your favorite band play and you see like what you're talking about, and you're like, whoa, what are all these bands? Like it's so different. I mean, I can't imagine growing up now.
It's so like bam, 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 like so fast.
It's so easy to just.
I feel like that was such a part of my identity. Like really, like looking back is like finding like this treasure hunt. Like, because I just was like, because I grew up like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to sit out in suntan. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't ever want to do things that most people wanted to do. So I'm like, oh, rad. I'm just not like anybody. But then I found people who were. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or bands or music or whatever.
It's like just things that perk your ears up, and that was the same way. Just like
because it's like a multi-stage thing too, like where it's not only do you figure out, like a lot of times it'd be like a cover, you just hear like some weird cover on a bootleg and you're like, what was that? Then you have to figure out what the song was, then figure out where you can find it, then actually find the record somewhere. It's like this whole
and like read the liner notes on a tape, and then you're like, oh, this dude played bass on this other guy that I read about on this other cassette from this other band. Like piece shit like that together, and like the hunt is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just like the quest for information, because you had to bother to take the time, because it took so much time. And nowadays, which is the flip side of the coin of just like finding out about shit so quick, it's like, because there's a plus to just like just Googling some shit and you find out everything about everything in 10 seconds, and that's fantastic. And that's cool, but the journey,
right?
It's a fading thing, but and I still think there's the equivalent of that journey is still here and present, because you still meet cool people that do take whatever path to get to Valhalla or whatever.
Right.
Everyone gets there.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So the part about all cats are gray made you tear up?
It did.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because, the question is just... And I hesitate asking a lyric question because I don't want it to be, like, anything that kind of even, like, leans Robert, But at the same time, I mean, he just covered so much in the book that it would seem kind of silly just rehashing something that I know he covered in the book. But he hinted that. He said it numerous times, but he never really said any specifics, I felt like.
I was looking for that in the book, too.
Yeah,
like what?
And you kind of got a vibe it would be those, something from Faith and stuff. Seemed like he was really involved a lot more. But, lyrically with that kind of stuff, but it's cool to hear that song in particular, just because it is, and just knowing from the book and stuff of what they're all going through at that time, and Faith in particular, and that song in particular, and just like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But
and that's the sweetest
just hearing him say
song.
it, it's so beautiful.
I've never done a Quaalude, and I pray to God one day I can do a Quaalude. And I don't like pills, but a fucking Quaalude I'll do. And because that song is like a Quaalude to my soul.
Yeah.
I think, you know what, I'm being reminded of, I think there was somebody in Boston who asked Lowell, I don't want to say that it was either what's his favorite drum to what was his favorite thing to play as a drummer, or maybe what the most difficult thing was. And he did or maybe it was something from Reflections, I don't know. I think he talked about All Cats Are Gray, because how it starts and stops basically on the same beat, if that makes any sense, or something like that.
Just flows into the next.
Yes. And he said, it's so satisfying when you do it and it's like done. It's just because I could see that, because it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, and that is like, that is dope. Like just playing music and just like the set kind of just flows like from song to song, and like it's all like a movement in like a classical piece or something.
They all flow so well. Yeah, those beats are all so like just original and cool, and just the way that very hypnotic.
Yeah,
just like. It just wouldn't be the same if you plugged in a straight up drum machine too.
Yeah,
it's like,
it wouldn't.
It's a lot to be said for this.
Well, I always thought the part of their sound of that period, like many people, was just the equipment that they had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Donald, I think it's really interesting that you really are captivated by his drumming, because most, like your stereotypical, Cure fan who's talking about music might say that Boris's drumming is quote unquote better,
right.
which may be technically speaking. So for you, like, I think we talked about this before, but I really I think it's interesting that you really enjoy Lowell's playing, because to me it's just different.
Yeah,
it is completely different, and that's what's beautiful about it, because he's not, and this is no slight to him, but he talks about it like he's not like a good drummer. If you look up like a dictionary our Wikipedia or whatever definition of a drummer, like.
Yeah.
But technically, he is a drummer, but he's not like popping fills around the kit and cutting times and fills and just doing fucking paradiddles and shit. Like, but he plays the kit like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, he pulls out like these sweet, basic, melodic, like everything's thoughtful.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, and he's good enough to like play a steady beat and come up with this shit.
Yeah.
And
by like not overplaying, I mean that frees up so much room
Yeah.
for all those awesome, you know, Cure layers that you know
Yeah.
that make those songs so great. Where you can, you know, studio trick wise or just even live with the guitar stuff. You know, if there's a tons of fills and shit going on through all those, it would be just makes it so much more muddy. You know,
it'd
and I
be
think that's why
horrible.
those
like some guy
songs
that's
are-
getting all goofy with the hi-hat.
Yeah,
Like,
you know, it's just
you know, like that sounds like dog shit.
yeah, I mean, especially Faith, you know, where it's like supposed to be kind of this like you're in a daze through the whole thing.
You're like,
almost
I don't
feels
think I
like,
heard
you know,
a
it's
cymbal
just-
in like 20 minutes.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah,
I
I fucking love that.
mean, less cymbals, the better. But I mean, yeah, I mean, just playing over it has got to be so cool in that
Yeah.
aspect because it just frees up so much space, you know, and like
And they
you can
filled it
add
up
in
so
every little
simply and
extra
beautifully.
bass hit even and stuff like
Yeah.
stands out because I mean like we said a billion times with those 3 records in particular, it's like there's so much going on but they're really stripped down in a sense. I mean they're
Yeah.
full but there's really not that much going on when you pare it down to like tracks and what's going on these things. It's
And that brilliance is what I like. I attribute to Lowell.
yeah
And I never, like, just being a kid, like, I always kind of goofed on him because he was, like, the butt of the
Yeah.
joke
yeah
in, like, videos and stuff. And we just didn't understand all the complexities in, like, the relationship in
Friendship in
band and,
bands.
like, those guys had.
adult problems and
Yeah, adult
everything
shit.
else that's actually going on. Yeah,
And they
man,
were,
it's
like, younger than us now. as
Yeah,
we
exactly,
speak.
you
they were
know.
little babies.
so yeah, of course they're gonna be hard on the guy.
But, you know, just the more I've learned about him and the more I've learned about life and how things are, it's like,
damn,
no, that dude is
and just
the
the
integral
way,
part to my favorite parts of the band, where I think they're like innovators and geniuses and just painted beautiful landscapes that are, you can't touch them. Like they're just,
yeah,
they stand out. And it was during an era where like everyone was like trying to stand out or maybe post stand out.
Stand out.
Maybe it would just be a little more subtle, but they made their name in their post standout world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they did it well.
yeah.
And Lowell was just as much as
yeah.
Robert, you know?
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess even just focusing back on the book, you know, it's just of how well that picture is painted, telling these stories and those eras in particular of like, you know, like we've said, even like, you know, you see the videos, you read the stories, and just how cool it is reading the book, and you can visualize it all so well. Like all those little stories, even going back to the beginning and stuff, you just picture them like so good because we've just stared at all those photos for so many years without like a movie to go with it in your head, you know? And
Totally,
it's like,
totally.
and it just came to life. Like as soon as you read the book, it's just like all these like stories, just like you just visualize them, you know, swapping the leather jacket around, and you know,
and it
and
talked
just
about
like,
like one of them got a pair of the Creepers like, shoes, and I was like, I think I saw this in a picture of them when they were kids.
Yeah, or there was there was one point where Lowell's talking about they're getting ready to play a gig and like so and so came out of the whatever back room they were gonna play in, and it was somebody from a famous band, and he was like, "Holy shit," you know. And again, it's like he brings you to that point where like he is just like we are, you know what I mean? And like it's one thing like now in 2016, Robert Smith gets on stage. He's like, "I'm just a normal guy," and you're like, "No, you're not." You know what I mean? Like, give me a break.
So much cool shit.
Like, he's like, he literally said one night, I don't remember what show, but he's like, "I'm looking at the floor, and it's like the floor on my, grandmother's kitchen." And it's like, yeah, he is a normal person in some respects, but we don't see that side to him. We're never gonna see the normal side of Robert Smith.
Do you want to?
I don't know if I do.
Yeah.
But with Lowell, it's like he took us there so that he did normalize it.
yeah,
And he did make it seem like, you know, I don't know. It just brings you. It's like 2 or 3 like dualities. It's like a duality. Duality, I guess, is a duo. God damn it, Arusha.
The 2 or 3
2 beers in.
the 3 dualities. Of
2
the Cure.
beers in. This is it.
Sounding like a regular around these parts.
Jesus
We're good.
Christ.
You're doing good.
She's actually had 3 beers. She's stuck on this 2 shit.
Oh, stop. 2 or 3 dualities.
That works.
You guys just don't get my polyrhythmic sense of humor. But okay, I guess it would be a duality of, well, on the one hand, them being like us, like they're in a small town. What, you know, they just want to play their music. Music is such a big fucking deal to them, and they just do it. And they're also influenced by people, like we are influenced by them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
But Lowell also made a big point in the book to say that Robert has always been, on one hand, a lad, and another like in the other.
Yeah, that's what makes him.
That's what makes him who he
yeah.
is. And what I thought was really interesting too is the way that he describes the struggle of other people to comprehend that person and how that would solicit fights.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. And you could totally see it where people just can't grasp that, you know, of like somebody that has like, because we all seen those people that just, there's just something different, that charm or whatever it is, you know, that puts them not as your, but at the same time, they can be a dude that's just going to have a beer with you and have a great time. So if people can't handle that or understand it, you know, it's crappy, but it's true. It's the way it goes, I guess. But yeah, I mean, and just like their dynamic. I mean, it's one of those things you know from the start going into the story, but just hearing those stories. I mean, the most obvious, the lead off one with him is the little boy and the bus and all that sweet little. It's just like you just picture him still like Robert being even a little kid with giant hair and him being like the like Muppet Baby versions of him, you know. But I mean, it just filled so much with those and even I mean, at the worst parts of the book, how just the friendship side of it all. He definitely doesn't steer away from that and never has. I mean, almost to the point where it's like, wow, there's like not even a hint of anything negative towards Robert in that whole book, It's really, pretty amazing. So, I don't know. So we obviously don't want to spoil too much of the book. If you are following along at this point, clearly you would love this book, and it's a great book. We can only say it so many times. If you don't catch him on the tour at this point, I'm not sure how many dates left. Probably by the time this goes up, there's not going to be much. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to do another run, but the book is out there. It's called Cured. Tale of Two Imaginary Boys, and I mean, how cool was that he answered those questions for us, though?
Mind blowing, and it's a testament to the fact that if you take the time to make something, you will connect with people, other people that take the time to make things.
I know, how nice of him. He's like, he did it, and he said he'd do it anytime.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Yeah, he said that at the end. He's like, I will. He's like anytime, and I always will.
That's what's up.
For the Holy Hour broadcast, what did he say?
The Holy Hour broadcast.
I don't know the
Holy Hour project.
For the whole project.
That's like if this podcast were a jam band, we'd be the Holy Hour project.
And it might come to that.
Yeah, but I mean, how fucking nice is that, dude? I really wish that I could get. I mean,
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could see you guys talking about drums, because I don't know you guys that well, but just to see the Bad Boy podcast tear up.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like Lowell has a hold on you, bro.
Yeah,
connected.
The Bad Boy has a sensitive side. I mean, the Bad Boy feels. The Bad Boy whimpers on the cold night.
Well, be sure to check out Lowell's book, Cured. The font is a Pearl font as well.
Hell
on the
yeah,
book.
I noticed that too.
So if you check it out, great book, start to finish, and the whole story.
And Lowell's the best.
More than just an amazing musician and dude that happened to form the Cure.
And what a sweet man to share his life with us with, all the music he's made, and then going behind the scenes of like writing a book and telling about the person that made this and did this and lived that life. Like, thank you for sharing the music and your life. Like,
yeah, and I'm glad he's the first one from The Cure to do it. Might
It
be the
is.
only one. I don't know if anybody else would do it, but it's pretty cool because he's a good story to tell. So.
it is. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I'm happy Lowell's on the planet.
Yes.
And
Well, thank you so much, Lowell, if you made it this far.
Cheers, Lowell.
We appreciate
man.
it. Thanks so
Thanks for
much to
sharing.
Arusha for hanging out with us. And
Thanks,
you, Donald,
Arusha.
for the Holy Hour Project. We will sign off. Talk hard. Catch you soon.
Talk hard.
Singing my sweet child on moon, well train your mind.
Be sure to subscribe to the Holy Hour Podcast on iTunes. Follow us on Instagram, and then head on over to Facebook where you can find the Holy Hour Podcast page, which has links to specific episodes, such as Arusha's upcoming film, Push, a Cure fan documentary, and Lowell's official page. Once again, special thanks to Arusha and Lowell. Until next time.